Welcome back to the channel, guys. I'm MacMillan, a local real estate agent here in Vancouver, and you're listening to the Real Estate Rundown, everything Vancouver real estate. Guys, if you new to the channel, make sure you go down, hit the sub button, subscribe to the channel, helps with the channel big time. Also share and like the videos, comment on the videos because I love the engagement. I love interacting with people. So get it in there. And if you want to book a call with me too, a strategy call, all the information is down there in the description. So let's get at it. On the other side, guys, we are going to hit on the home buyer series, first time home buyer series. I'm going to go through a list of 5 things and then continuing videos. We're going to dive deep into each one of them. So today's just kind of like an intro kickoff of my top 5 things based on my experiences and what I think people should look out for when getting into their first home buying purchase. So all that more after this. Guys, welcome back. Here we go. We're going to kick it off. Waste no time. My top 5 first-time home buyers. 5 things to look for. Now, this is a really cool time to be a first-time home buyer, guys. I know what you're thinking. Every time someone's pushing something on you, but in the reality right now, we are in a buyer's market. There is record inventory out there on the market. Buyers are still not there completely with the confidence, although we have seen an uptick in action the last couple of weeks. So signs might be pointing to, what, we've sort of hit this bottom and now we're kind of making our way back up. So, if you're a first-time home buyer on the sidelines, I mean, there's got to be a point where you kind of get off the sidelines, just take that plunge and know that, look, this is an investment, a way for me to get in and be a homeowner. And it's a great time now because there's so much out there to look for. The pressure is off. You can go around, you can shop, you can take your time, you can be smart about it. Even if you look back just a couple of years ago where people were stressing and really putting their hands up in the air and being like, you know what, I'm just going to give up now because I'm going in on a place that's priced pretty well, but there's 30 other offers I'm competing against. So in a way, people felt like it was almost like winning the lottery. Unless I'm coming in at extraordinary amounts over asking price, subject free, not, forget about an inspection. Let's just go take a chance because, this fear of missing out. This is a great time to be a first-time home buyer, guys. You can get your feet wet, really kind of just soak in the process, work with your realtor, and be smart about your decisions. This is not a decision where you have to make quickly, but it's good to get the wheels in motion and kind of know the process because when it's time to go, you're ready to go. So let's kick it off. So my top 5. So look, we're going to start from 1 all the way to 5. I'm going to go for my first one. My first one is be in the neighborhood you want to be in, guys. Do not make any exceptions to that. And what I mean by that is, get rid of, if you got to uncheck a couple of boxes because, you might like the shiny new countertops or the the bling bling in the place, like that can all be changed now, later, whenever. The thing that can't be changed is the neighborhood. I stress that with people a lot. People's, even if I'm dealing with people, even making a move up, not a first-time home buyer, and say, look, we're going to a detached situation, a detached home situation. We have to move out to A, B, or C. And I said, well, wait a second. Let's look at all your options before you decide to make the move. Because listen, guys, when you get in a place, whether it's your first buy, second buy, it's not as easy as to say, hey, 6 months later, we don't like it, let's flip it. And we're going to break stuff down in other videos about the cost of even just getting into a place, but you're going to lose money. So make sure you like the neighborhood. That is the first thing. So, things like you get out there, the street it's on, the neighborhood, look at future, like in the, how many years am I going to be here? What's the long-term plan, short-term plan? Do we plan to be here maybe 5 years? Are we starting a family? Are we thinking about, daycares in the area, school catchments in the area? All those things have to come into play. So my biggest takeaway, my number one thing is neighborhood, guys. So, when you're thinking about, A, your budget, and B, what your monthly payments you can afford. And you guys work that out and say, okay, now where can we go? If we like a certain area, but it's a little more expensive, what can we do without to be in an area we like? What amenities are around here? Where are we close to? That is so important. Is it a walkable area? Do I have a vehicle? Do I want to drive, even if I have a vehicle? Do I want to be in a neighborhood that it's the walkability is a 90 plus score? And that's what I want. And that's what I want to get into. So think about that first. Neighborhood to me, when I sit down with people, that's just, there's no exceptions. And let's not try to start, with our third neighborhood choice and work backwards. Let's start with our first neighborhood choice. And then if we exhaust all options, because sometimes that happens, then we'll go to B and then possibly we got to go to C. But let's always look at neighborhood first and expand out. So that's number one. Number two, look, the reality is first time home buyers for the majority of us in this city. I deal in Vancouver. I'm an expert in East Vancouver. I deal with downtown and on the west side. The biggest thing is for first time home buyers, because of the affordability, you're normally going to get into an attached situation and normally being a condo. So let's touch on that. Now, if this doesn't apply to you, skip it. But number two is know the building inside and out and have your realtor work with you. We can get into a lot of the details. We will get into a lot of the details in further videos. But number two for me is get a solid building. You pick the neighborhood. Now get a solid building. So what does that mean? Okay, well, we have to look at a few things. Who's the builder? Right now, if it's a new building, who developed it? Who's the builder? What's the reputation? I think in this era now, you can be really, really picky on the builder because look, guys, longevity and reputation matter. And as a buyer in general, you have so much choice now that it just doesn't even make sense to go a route that, okay, I'm going to sort of cheap out it and go with maybe a less known builder. Somebody just doesn't have a good reputation. It matters, guys. So look at the builder, look at the developer, right? Secondly, when you look at into a building, we're going to look in the minutes. We're going to look at the history. We're going to look at who's managing the place. How has it been run? What's the contingency fund like? Is it healthy? Have they had some big assessments? Has there been some big projects done? If it's an older building, was the new roof just replaced? They have a special levy that maybe something that just, you look at an example like a stairwell fire escape that requires thousands upon thousands of dollars. Maybe that was something that wasn't planned. So maybe a couple things have been done. Well, that's good news for you because those are off the list. But if it hasn't been managed properly, they've had, just low contingency funds and because strata fees have been low and the budget just really hasn't been taken care of. Well, that's a red flag, right? Secondly, you have to look at strata fees. I know people look at what's the strata fee. Ooh, man, that's a little expensive. Well, let's look into why it is. What's the budget of this building? How healthy is the contingency fund? Well, the contingency fund health is solely relies on your strata fee. You pay into it. So, as a selling point, you look at some of these new builds and they market it where, because there's no history on the building. They're just going to put it out there. They throw a number out there. It looks attractive. And anything, same with a resale, it's going to look attractive to you. You got to look at why. If you're finding the lowest strata fee, now I'm not going to sit here and say automatically it's a red flag, but I'm going to look into that a lot more specifically at why, especially if a building has been run for X amount of years. It's, it has a history to it and it has an extremely low strata fee. Like, are you just scraping by year to year because at the AGM you vote to, the strata council is like, we're good, let's stick with it. And everyone's like, yeah, let's vote for it. You as a new buyer coming into a situation like that, you got to question it. So building, get down to the specifics, look at the history, whether it's new or old, you look at the builder. And in this climate, guys, you have so much opportunity and so much inventory. Like I said, it would be silly to even think about downgrading on that. I mean, I'm going to go best of the best because there's even with the top builders or the developers that have a big reputation with these builds that are currently built, say a 3-4 year old building, you can still get deals on these. It's not like these units are flying off the shelf, guys. They're sitting on the market. So it's a luxury right now that you can get a primo build that, say, 4 or 5 years ago, you almost had to have a lottery ticket to put your down payment on a pre-sale unit, which now sounds ridiculous, right? The way some of these pre-sale developers are, the incentives are just insane, right? So just talk about how a market can shift in a matter of a few years or a couple of years. Get you thinking. So that's number two, guys. All right, let's move on to number three, guys. Now, I know I mentioned number one was neighborhood. Number two was the building. If you're a first-time home buyer, the likelihood in Vancouver, you're going to go to the attached market. Now, I know some people might think, well, look, man, number three on your list should be maybe number one. But, for me, I'm just sort of saying, like, let's get the most important as far as what to look for. Now, this could be number one, but it's a big thing. Have that down payment saved and have a plan leading up to, before say, hey, I'm ready to buy. Look, you can go, online. You can start looking at properties, get an idea, get you motivated. But what's the plan to save for down payment? And how much do you need? Now, there's people can say, well, just get in, whatever. You want to try to have that 20%. You avoid those extra CMHCs and all that. We'll touch on that in further videos. But what I would say is have a plan to say, what do I need based on maybe a first-time home buyer? Am I looking at a one-bedroom, two-bedroom? What are the costs? 20%. What do I need? What's the plan? And then when you're getting close, you're a few months out and we're about to go shopping prior to this, go get a pre-approval. It takes really no time. It's that soft approval. It really gives you an idea of what you can qualify for. Nobody really wants to go, shopping with their eyes closed. And essentially that's what you are doing. Even if you think, well, I make, a steady income, I make X amount a year. If you got a partner, they make X amount a year. So, I probably could get this in this climate. Sometimes with the way things are, you just don't know. Different lenders are going to offer different things as well. So a lot of times, I'll suggest go get a good mortgage broker. It costs you guys absolutely nothing. And that's the beauty about it. When you're working with a buyer's agent, when you're working with a mortgage broker, these things don't cost you anything. These guys get paid, myself, we get paid on the back end. We don't get paid from you, right? We get paid from the seller, the mortgage brokers gets paid from the lenders. So it's really, when you think about it, if this is your plan, if you're thinking about getting into the market, line these things up, right? Get connected with a good realtor, get connected with a good lender, a good mortgage broker, and then get that ball rolling. You got people working in your corner, working with you to help you along the process. They're going to guide you in the right situation. Look, this is what you should look for. This is how you should plan it out. And by the way, give us a few things, give us a little bit of information. We'll spit you out a number. Go shopping, right? So you kind of know where you're at. Now you can go shopping. You can get more excited about it because say, hey, once we get the perfect place, everything else is lined up. We're ready to go. We're ready to pull the trigger. We found the place. We got the neighborhood. We got a realtor on looking into this building, into the minutes, into the, everything about this building, that now we're confident with everything and we can go in and now we can make an offer. So that's number three. Guys, moving on to number four. Let's recap real quick. We touched on neighborhood 1, 2, the building, the builder and the developer. 3, saving for your down payment and getting the pre-approval. Now, number 4 for me, guys, is getting a little more down to the specifics. What do you want in a home? Like what's your checklist in a home? Now, this is going to be a little limited sometimes as your first time buyer. Like you just can't have the world. I mean, a lot of us can't, but at least you can say, okay, let's sit down. If this is your budget, because you already got pre-qualified, you're already pre-approved, you kind of know when you're going to have that down payment ready to go. So now you got a budget to work for. So, within that realm, you sort of know, okay, this is kind of what I can have. Now within this, what's most important to me? Take maybe your top 3 things that are most important to you and get them on that checklist, because neighborhood is, and the building is it, but within that, what are you looking for? You're looking for a little more patio space. Well, maybe you want to go ground level, right? Maybe you want something that's just a little more, walk out. Ground level a lot of times gives you maybe sometimes access from the back gate onto a yard. I mean, or you come out and you get that 200-300 square foot patio space. Or are you somebody that I want that view? I want to be up on that 15th, 20th floor. I don't need much space. I just need a place to hang out and take in the view when I come home from work every night. Or, do I need a home office? Is that something that's on my list? You also got to look at, y- do I plan to be here for the long haul? And what I mean by that is, what's my 5 year plan with this place, right? Like, are we thinking of having a kid next year? If you're with a partner, well, if that's the case, well, maybe we got to look at something that checks off a different box, right? Like, you might need a 2 bedroom instead of a, 1 bed and den, or you might need just something that's going to give you a little more space. So, maybe that does come to a situation where, what, we've exhausted everything in our number one neighborhood. Now our plans change as a family. We got to maybe look out a little further because it gives us a little more space. I'm dealing with a situation right now where we might have something coming to market. It's a 2 bedroom in New Westminster, almost 1,200 square feet. Guys, you can't find that in Vancouver, but you go a little further and New West, great value, really not that far away, pretty central. You're talking 1,200 square for a lot cheaper than what you're going to get out here down in the city. So, and so you start, when you look at those other neighborhoods, you sort of say, okay, well, this is my number one neighbor. I don't have another neighborhood. Like, what do I do? Well, then let's sit down and work on that plan, because your plan has changed what you're maybe on your checklist, and that's fine. But you got to narrow down that checklist. You got to have, like, I need, like, throw your top 3 things on the checklist, right? And then if we can add something to the checklist, let's do it. All right. If the budget allows us to, let's get it. Let's do it. We can do it. And then, then we go from there. But at least, if things say, things crash a bit in the market, things, whatever happens, that you say, look, I'm comfortable in the next 5 years being in this neighborhood, in this building, and I'm set up because it's my home. I'm not worried about, what's the price of my place every 6 months. It doesn't matter. What matters is you're finding a home that you're building equity in, that you're creating a home, and you love the neighborhood you're in, and the building that you're in is checking off majority of the boxes for now, right? So that would be my number 4. As number 5, and I know we're jumping all over the place a little bit, but like I said, this is kind of a unique 5. It's not, maybe your basic, like, go do a Google search and you're going to find different things. But, these are important things. These are my kind of important things. And it's kind of a hybrid of, like, the home and then how you want to set yourself up. Check your credit score, guys. That's number 5 for me, because, the thing is that credit's more important than people think, especially when you're dealing with lenders. It's all about risk for them. And if they think you're a risk, and they're going to base that really off the number, the credit score. And, it's a reflection on some of the responsibility that you're bringing to the table when the lender looks at your application. Are you missing payments? Do you owe money, as far as to, say, creditors? I mean, these are big ones. And then, how much you taking on, right? There's a formula they have, and your credit score is part of it. Now your income's the other part of it. And so those are really 2 of your biggest things, right? They're going to look at your income, they're going to look at your credit score, guys. And they're going to look at your income, and they're going to look at your credit score, guys. So uh kind of the key takeaways, say, and this is the plan. Look, if you're thinking about getting into the market, you sort of want to start thinking about it, and then really give yourself a good year, right? To, if you got to work on that credit score a little bit, you got to save up a little more down payment, you get that pre-approval in the mix. Now that part's easier, saving up for the down payment, guys. Let's be honest. That's, in this day and age right now, that's definitely the toughest part. There's no question about it. There's a lot of family help these days. There's just no question about it. That's just the climate we live in, guys. But the thing is that you want to start the process. You get the wheels going. So whether that's saving for the down payment, pre-approval, making sure you're on top of the credit score. Guys, there's some people that don't even know their credit score, and that's fine, right? But it's just something to think about. And maybe now is the time to just, hey, have a look, check into it. Where am I sitting? Okay, you know what? Not the greatest. What can we do to improve it? You can always improve. There's no question about it. It's not a reflection of who you are. It's just sometimes, hey, this is the situation we're in. Now let's get it fixed. What can we do? So, and guys, listen, I know this might sound obvious to some people, but if you're in the process and you're saying, look, our goal is to get in the market, I want a home, please do not go get anything. Do not buy anything new. Definitely don't hit the dealership. Do not go get that shiny car. I know it looks good and it feels good, but let me tell you something. That's just more debt that the bank's going to look at, and they're going to say, nah, you know what? We're good. You know what? You were close, but you got that $800 you got that $800 payment that it's just not going to work for us. So, if you guys can drive around the old beater for a bit until you get in. Look, once you sign the papers, go to the dealership 2 weeks later. I don't care. But remember, that all plays a role into it. So credit score, guys, is huge. Let's do a real quick recap. These top five, we'll get into some more later on, but these are top five. Plus, we're going to get into each one of these in more detail in future videos, part of the first time home buyers series. So recap, let's just recap. I don't even care about the order, guys. Neighborhood, building, income, and pre-approval. Get that checklist. I want to see your top three and your credit score, guys. So maybe that was in order, but there's five right there. It's in the description, guys. So just recap it, go through it, hit me up in the comments with any questions. I love working with first-time buyers. I think it's an exciting time. I was once a first-time buyer, and as exciting as it is, there's a lot of anxiety and some stress that obviously goes along with it too. So, guys, if you're interested in learning more about the first-time home buying process, you want to jump on a strategy call with me, I'd love to chat. Drop a comment in the DM. You can message me directly. You can also hit me up. We can do a 30-minute strategy call, because I love helping people out, especially first-time guys trying to get in the market. So, guys, that's it. Make sure you sub to the channel, share the videos, comment. Until next time, we'll see you later.